Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Wrestling Legion Weekly Podcast. I'm Nick the Geek. I'm joined as always by my cohort, my co-conspirator, and one of my friends. I'm joined by the Redeemer himself, Andy. Andy, how's your back and how are you feeling?
Excited, very excited. 1 week to go until we're off to the most stupendous. Sorry, it's not the greatest WrestleMania of all time. I think got all mixed up there.
No, I am also excessively excited, but I'm excited for another reason tonight because unfortunately I'm not excited because our friend Simon isn't feeling well and he couldn't join us tonight. So, Si, get well soon, and we'll see you soon. But I am very excited because King's Court has realigned. He has returned. He is here. The Wrestling With Your Thoughts heavyweight champion of the world, the Drip King himself, Jimmy Bebe. Jimmy, how are you?
What up? I am fantastic. I'm just a little bit tired, midday nap, just getting ready for a busy weekend next weekend because, as Andy said, it's going to be the most stupendous and awesome and all that other good stuff WrestleMania of all time next weekend, and we all get to experience it live. So I'm very, very, very excited for that.
Yes. We are tonight covering a very simple subject. Last Monday night, arguably the best Raw in a decade. A phenomenal show from top to bottom. Great opening, great closer, great in the middle. Everything was done to a much more, I don't want to say adult, but slightly mature standard on Monday.
Yeah.
And I think with the Netflix deal, this may be a direction that WWE move in for Raw, at least on a permanent basis. Andy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they might do. I mean, everyone was going on about the Attitude Era coming back, and this is what it felt like, and it did feel like that, but I felt like it felt like the Attitude Era, but an improvement in the sense of it had the kind of storyline type thing that the Attitude Era had, but without some of the nonsense that was in there. Everything that was on it meant something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I really enjoyed about it.
Yeah, it was. There was. Go on.
Yeah, and it also had the Epic Sonic kind of feel to it, where it was, the opening and the close were both relative to each other. So it felt like we had the start of the show, and then we had the close of the show was the finish of what was actually, what started at the beginning.
Yeah, it felt like a chapter in a story as opposed to just a random weekly show. Jimmy, you are our resident aficionado on Monday Night Raw. So what did you think? Did you enjoy the show?
About after the first segment, I was like, okay, it just, I don't think it clicked to me what we were really getting until the Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Seth Rollins ordeal. The opening segment, I was like, okay, this is interesting. I was on my feet for it. The Rock, wasn't expecting The Rock. So whenever I get a surprise like that, I am like full attention. You got me. I'm ready to see what we're doing. The match they had after that was phenomenal. I'm sure we'll talk more about it. But during that segment between Punk, Drew, and Seth, it was like, this just feels different. It feels like we've kind of gotten a glimpse of what Raw might become over the next year as we get into that Netflix thing. And then like I put it out there, I was like, this might be the most enjoyable Raw I've ever watched in my life. And then it never let down. Like it just kept going and going and going. And then we got to the end and we got that phenomenal ending. It was like, what the heck? I would put it up there with one of the of the best Raws I've ever watched. Just, without putting too much thought into it, just kind of speaking off the top of the dome, I would say it's probably a top 3 episode I've ever watched as far as just the entertainment aspect of it.
That's saying a lot as well.
Yeah.
Between the three of us, I think we've probably seen every single episode of Monday Night Raw by now. Even with the periods where we dropped out, I know I've gone back and caught up. So I imagine that you've caught up to a certain extent with everything. So between us, we've watched at least most of Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Andy, how would you rate it?
I'd say it was a 5 out of 5, 100%. I thought everything on there meant something, and even the other bits and bobs in between were fun. So, and I thought it was paced well. So it was kind of like, you know, they didn't just have rock, bang, punk, bang, you know, they kind of paced it really well throughout the show. And that's something that I feel WWE does is started doing a lot more now. You are getting a lot better pacing of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Triple H has always been one for, even in his matches, they're always well paced. People can criticize him as much as they like, but Triple H's matches are always well paced. I think pacing's always been an important part of his booking strategy and the way he looks at professional wrestling. Right, let's get on to. There was about, I think, just under 45 minutes of wrestling on the show. Just want to mention that because all of those people that turn around and say, people only watch wrestling for the wrestling. I don't like the other stuff. Nobody likes the other stuff. Well, yeah, they do, because it got over 2 million viewers when it was going on a week when basketball and baseball are having very big things happening, as far as I know.
Well, technically, baseball starts today, but I believe Monday night they were doing college basketball, and right now is March Madness, which is a big part of the year. I'm not 100% sure, but I do think it was Monday night. I think they run it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So
you know, I think I said to you, Nick, and you know, it's pretty relative. Is on Monday night I was very sports entertained.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to put it.
Yep.
Sports entertainment, as can't say his name these days, but as a certain man coined it, would have proven to be a good idea years ago if people just accepted it. I'm going to use AEW as an example. Jimmy, you'll agree with this. The first 3 months of AEW Collision, how good were they?
It was the best wrestling show on TV. Like, I'll argue with people about it. That's how good it was. The pacing, like what Andy was talking about with Raw, the pacing of Collision was phenomenal. The variety was just perfect. The mesh of just wrestling in ring, story, like it was all just so perfect, and it was episodic. Literally, what started the show was continuation from last week's show, and how the show ended was going to be how next week's show started, and that's to me a perfect wrestling show.
And just to give you a bit of a context and on the other side of the fence, you said 45 minutes of wrestling on Raw, in Dynamite it was only wrestling. There wasn't a single promo on Dynamite this week.
This week there was not.
No, not one.
In ring promo there wasn't.
There was none.
No.
Because they did a bunch of like backstage.
They did a couple of backstage bits.
Yeah. I thought they had a good blend this week.
Yeah, I thought it was a good show. I'm not saying it wasn't a bad show. But you know, what do you think about Swerve Strickland versus Joe?
Right. My opinion is that Samoa Joe is the wrong world heavyweight champion. It should have been Jay White. It's just personal preference. They should have had Jay White in this position, the guy who is effectively going to be transitional to set up the next guy. Because I love Joe, but this is a transitional reign. He's getting a nice one.
But in a transitional reign where he's got a lot more familiarity than what Jay White has, that's what you've got to remember.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. But
question.
Joe, go.
Do you think Samoa Joe and the show Twisted Metal getting renewed for season 2 had anything to do with them saying, hey, this might be a good guy to make as our transitional champion? Because of the media press coverage it could come with if he was still champion during like any kind of press he would do.
Yes. I think just in general as well, Jim, even from what he's known as from his WWE days, you know, a thing like Jay White, as much as, you know, he's quite good and whatever else, he's not very well known. That's all. Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to see Jay have his first title run be transitional. I think that.
No, I think he needs to be embedded with the audience more, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, fair opinions. But either way, Joe is at the moment at best a 15-minute man.
Yeah.
That's
there's a reason why the likes of, you know, Jay White or Okada probably would have ended up in NXT if they would have come through the WWE way. Because it's, again, introducing them to an audience. Do you know what I mean? Same as Nakamura would come through NXT because it's like that, you know, just because you're known in New Japan and that does not mean that you are known to the wider audience whatsoever. Yeah. So.
No, agreed. So we've gone off topic.
Yeah.
We've gone considerably off topic, James.
Well, that's what it's all about.
I know, but
That's
now
what's
I'm
the
going
most
to bring
fun.
it back round into topic because we were talking about Collision and how well the story was booked for those first 3 months. And the reason I brought it up is because it was very sports entertainment. Those shows of Collision, it felt more like what I consider the best form of pro wrestling to be. That's not a bad thing, and the ratings proved it. They were the highest ratings AEW had ever got. So it's done pretty well, and Collision's ratings have kind of dropped off to an 800,000-ish.
Well, to be fair, Collision's ratings never were like great.
No, because Saturday night
again, but then again, a Saturday night show, I don't know what you're really expecting. Like, I think they went into it knowing like, hey, we're not going to be able to pull any significant number because a big thing on Saturdays is college football, and that's not a regional thing. That's literally like the entire country is tuned in to watch college football from 11 in the morning till 12 o'clock at night. The college football's on all day, and you're putting Collision on right in the smack dab of it. And I think it was an experiment. I'm glad they did it because, again, those first 2-3 months, whatever it was, were brilliant. But I tuned in a few weeks ago and I was like, this is not the same show. And I haven't tuned in back again.
No. And just from a ratings perspective, Collision still does better numbers than Rampage.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is true. But Rampage is the Sunday night heat.
That's a shame.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is it's still getting, it's still not a total poo-poo, is it, in terms of commercial for them?
No. Well, the network's happy.
I think they do pretty good numbers for what night they're on and everything.
Yeah.
I don't hate. I don't think anybody should be hating on their numbers because of where it's at.
No, not in the slightest. The fact is, they're not. Realistically, the amount of companies that have gone up and tried to compete with WWE directly aren't around anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them shut down because the cost of trying to compete on WWE's level is very, very high. Certain people can afford it for a long period of time. Certain people can't. At the time, just booking strategies, stuff goes wrong. And AEW, I think, are being smart at the moment because they aren't necessarily directly competing anymore. They started to feel a bit more like it was when the company launched, when they were supposed to be an alternative to WWE, not direct competition.
Yeah.
I think they've found their identity again. It's not the same identity when they started, but I like what they're doing. I think ever since Revolution, what the product they've put out, that's what I want to see them continue to do. They can't hit the panic button like they normally do, like, oh, well, things aren't changing. Got to give it some time. Things don't change overnight. But I think the blend they have now, and again, the pacing of the shows they have now is in the right direction, in my opinion. I think they got to find a way to kind of shorten some of the matches up. And I know they're going to hate that. The idea of shortening matches in AEW is just bonkers to the AEW fan base. But I do think you need to do it sometimes. You got to save some for the bigger shows. I'm not saying
well, do
down.
You know what? You're absolutely bob on there, Jim, because I said this the other week, right? When people are getting thrown through glass and whatnot, and it was who set the table on fire on Collision, and it's like, what are you doing? Don't get me wrong.
House of Black. Was it Edge?
House of Black. No,
I think Edge did it a few weeks ago, and he tried to put Nick Wayne through it, I believe. They might have done it again. I don't know.
Yeah, it was House of Black. I think if I remember rightly. But I was just looking. I was like, "What are you doing? Like, stop it on weekly TV." Darby Allin broke his foot on a weekly episode of Dynamite. Like, it's just why.
I would defend the Darby one, but I won't get into it just because I feel like that kind of played into they were trying to write him off TV, so they had to go through to kind of get him there. I don't mind it sometimes because, again, if it furthers what you're trying to do, I get it. But just random ones. Like, again, we couldn't figure out who we were talking about here. That's the problem because it's happened more than once in a very short time period. And that's it takes away from it. Like, it seriously takes away from it.
Just before we move back onto Raw as well, I just want to say, one, Mercedes Moné, I think, stupid at the moment because they still haven't done anything with it.
Who?
I feel like she's just Mercedes
Mercedes.
Moné. I feel like they need to do something with her now. She's been there now for a bit and she's not done anything really, which is frustrating. But on a plus side and a positive, see, I'm practicing positivity because I know I'm coming on your podcast this week, so I'm already practicing. But how good is Toni Storm? Like, honest to God, mate, like I just, even on like my Facebook reels and stuff, whenever she comes up, I'm like, bang, yeah, I'm watching this. Some of them I've watched like 10 times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just to kind of add on to that, Mariah May has been fantastic doing what she does as well. I
Yes.
deserve some credit.
Oh, Miss Storm.
It's been the whole thing. It won me over because I was against it I was like, oh, I like it. Then the next week I'm like, this is too much. But they found the right balance for it. And I'm like, yo, this is actually brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
It's but it's Marilyn Monroe and her understudy, and I like the angle. She's playing it to perfection. Toni has been the first real standout in AEW's women's division in a while. They haven't had a real standout, and Toni's the first one, and she's done it through character.
Yeah.
Yes, again, more proof of the point I am trying to make tonight. That the only reason professional wrestling is actually successful is because it is a perfect balance of story, character, and action. It is 3 points in a lot, and 2 of those involve talking. Only one of them involves fighting.
Well,
talking is more prevalent and, if possibly, more important than the fighting is, and that's the point I want to try and make tonight.
Yeah, and the one thing, I've got a nice segue with this. So a prime example of that for me was I was a bit worried about Rhea and Becky because I felt like Nia and Liv Morgan were kind of messy in the waters, and we still didn't have really a kind of Becky and Rhea kind of reason for them fighting or make you get excited about it. And I thought this week on Raw they'd done a really good job of like kind of starting that build now.
Yes.
Between the 2 of them to give that bit of animosity and whatnot. And also, have you 2 seen the slow-mo of Dom's punch? Oh my God. He
right in the jaw.
Yeah.
Right in the jaw.
We have an English saying, what a sport. And he was a hell of a sport there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a bloody good sport. I'm just going to let Jimmy praise Dominic now.
Hey, I don't think I need to say much, but I mean, they keep putting him in positions, and he keeps showing that not only has he been able to maintain this heat that he's got, and was like, what is he even doing? I couldn't tell you what he's doing, but he's clearly doing something because it's working.
Do you want me to tell you? I thought the
I would love to hear. I can't put my finger on it, but I know he's doing something.
So I watched this a while back because I couldn't figure out myself what he was doing, right? But if you watch him, he's very, very clever. He does the little smirk with his mouth. He turns towards the crowd and eyeballs them, then turns away again. Then he flicks his hair and he does very subdued little movements, subtle little movements. And I think that's
who else did that? Deal. Do you know who else did that? Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing he triggers the
modeling him. He is modeling himself after early 90s Eddie Guerrero, who was one of the best heels WCW had, and they just never pulled the trigger on it.
When you get a chance, go back and just watch him and watch the little things that he does. Even when he's
I know exactly what you're talking about. I see him. It just doesn't register to me like that's what's doing it. But it makes sense because he knows how to play that crowd like a fiddle.
Mm-hmm.
But then now on top of that, every time he gets put in there with the big names, it doesn't matter if they're just running him down, if he's having like a match with them, or if he's just taking a real right hand from Becky Lynch. He does it all. He doesn't complain about it, and he sells it like a superstar.
Yeah,
like he literally has been giving opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Can you name me one time where he's dropped the ball during any of these opportunities he's been given?
He never fumbles.
The other thing that I say to you as well is it's very obvious that he's got a big future ahead of him and the officer behind him. Yep. And I can tell you why, because let's go back and have a look over the last 12 months, right? CM Punk's first match back in WWE, Dominic Mysterio.
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton's first match back, Dominic Mysterio. So, for me, not only do they trust him in terms of they think a lot of him, but also from an in-ring work perspective, the fact that they've put him in with them two people coming back from injury. Well, Randy Orton coming back from injury and Punk's first match back, it shows how much he's well thought of, in my opinion.
And to just add on to that, where people have been saying that Braun Breaker's the next guy for WWE, Austin Theory, Carmelo Hayes, now Trick Williams is in that list. I want everyone to remember, 10 toes in the sand, I've been saying Dominic Mysterio will be their next guy. He'll be their next John Cena, Roman Reigns, whatever you want to call it. And he's showing everyone exactly why right now. Because the second he finally puts that in-ring stuff all together and it clicks, which you see glimpses of it already, he's put on some fantastic matches with people. Even the Gunther one, where he didn't do anything really, he just sold like a champion. Well, so many people don't do. He got he showed the world like, hey, I am the guy. And when those boos turn into cheers, which they will, he's off to the races, and he's their next guy for the next 15 years.
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, like, I know he's going to face Ray at WrestleMania, which I'm made up with, because he needs to get that back, in my opinion. Yeah. And I think Ray knows that, which is why they're doing it. And I just for the record, by the way, I told you, Nick. I told you last week we'd get to there.
I know.
You're welcome. But
well,
also,
I told you something as well. We'll get to that in a bit.
It's very interesting to see which way they go with Tom. So, do you have him turn on Rhea, like I know you wanted, Jim, and further that heat?
Yep.
Or do you go the other way and have Rhea turn on him, and then he becomes the babyface?
I'll give you two reasons why you have him turn on Rhea. One, Rhea's already a babyface. She's just stuck in a heel faction. So to separate that, you just have to have something happen to where because if she gets turned on by Dom, by the people already hate Dom, so then they're going to be like, who does this son of a think he is dumping mommy like that? It gives him more heat, and it separates her to where now the people who are hesitant to cheer for are now like, let's go, and she becomes almost Cody level of babyface. Two, I don't think Dom is completely ready to become a babyface yet. I think he still has a little bit of work to do in between the ropes. Okay. And once he can get that, then you pull the trigger on him being the babyface.
So, let me ask you this then. Do you remove Rhea from the Judgment Day and keep Dom in it? Maybe bring another woman in, a la X-Pac Tori type of deal?
I know exactly what Jimmy will do.
So, I mean,
right?
I'll say this.
Go ahead. When you're ready to pull the trigger on Dom, you can pull him out of the Judgment Day at that point and have them turn on him to get the heat.
So, I think Judgment Day is a face faction. I don't know how well that works, but if you're asking me how I would do it, I'll even switch it up because they've given me a new kind of thing to latch onto and build from. Dom helped Escobar, which in my original theory was him going and teaming up with Escobar, but they were going to take over the LWO and then Liv would be his new mommy. But now we have Elektra Lopez there. What's a good way to elevate Elektra Lopez and put her in a prime position to get some more eyes on her? You have her become Dom's new mommy because she can take the loss to Rhea. It's not a big problem, but it puts her in a very prominent position for people to take notice to her while she continues to progress. It shows that Dom is no longer the submissive. He's now the Dom in the relationship.
Well, that's what I mean. Instead of having it as the mommy, you just have him as the poppy.
Yeah, he'll become Poppy, and then he could still. This is my new mommy because that's going to get people to hate her and cheer Rhea more. And again, you do Dominic versus Rhea Ripley at a pay-per-view, people are going to lose their minds over this. Yeah. And he's the perfect character to do that where it won't harm him at all.
Now I've got the I've got a new nickname.
Still won't live though. Still won't live.
I've got a new character name for Dirty Dom Mysterio as well. Get him to take over Legado, and have him as El Person Dom.
Have what?
El Patron, Tom.
But what that
Right,
effectively
the boss.
does is when you pair him with that group, eventually when they circle back to Rey Mysterio again and they're attacking him, that opens up the door for Rey or Dom to save Rey when you're ready to turn him babyface, and that's how you get him to babyface. You use Rey to turn him heel, and then you use Rey to turn him babyface again. And again,
Yeah.
those people, they love to cheer Dom. They don't really hate him. They just love to cheer him. So when they've given a reason to cheer him, they're going to love that too. He's been handled masterfully, and I don't think it gets talked about enough. The work they've done with Dom has been just amazing.
And also, can we just give him a little bit of kudos as well for his own thing, because backstage and everything else and everything I hear on the reports is he's at that performance center consistently.
Yep. I see it. In the ring, I see it. So, yeah.
Dom's timing has improved so much in the last year.
What is it with you in time?
Time is the most important thing in professional wrestling. Don't care what you say. It's the most important thing in the sport of professional wrestling. Timing is the most necessary thing in a ring that is effectively the sport that is effectively violent dancing. You need timing to dance. You need timing to wrestle. If you don't have timing, you've got no rhythm. If you've got no rhythm, you've got no business being in a professional ring because you're going to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Dom's timing has improved so much in the last year, and I mean to a ridiculous extent, that he is being put in there with people like Randy Orton. He is being put in there with people like CM Punk in his first match back, because it's not just because the company believe in him, it's because Triple H sees in him what a lot of people saw in Triple H, what a lot of people saw in The Rock. Oh, yeah, or The Rock.
This guy. I'm taking that credit. I
know you are.
A year ago.
I know you are. But speaking of taking credit, I'm going to take another credit now, because we've all seen Rocky, right?
Unfortunately.
Specifically, Rocky 2. Right? Now, I'm going to replace Rocky Balboa with Sami Zayn. And I'm going to replace Mickey with Chad Gable. Because this is what I've said to both of you for the past 3 weeks on different occasions. Said on your show, and I told you ridiculously, and I told Simon as well, that Chad Gable was going to become Sami Zayn's Mickey. Everybody said, oh, he's going to turn heel on him. Not yet, he's not.
No, after.
No, he's going to get him to that world championship, and then he's going to turn on him. Because the real reason that Chad Gable says, you can win Rock, or you can't beat Gunther, is because he knows he can't beat Gunther, but he can beat Sami Zayn. So he's going to get Sami to the championship, and then he's going to take the championship off Sami. I'm calling that now. Before this goes any further in WWE storyline, because I've been right so far, and I'm so rarely right. Let me enjoy being right. It's nice. It never happens. This is going to be a fantastic storyline, and I think it's going to tie into Simon's theory that they're doing a circular finish for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn this year. Last year, they ended WrestleMania Night 1 as the new tag team champions. This year, they can be in the ring together, a la Benoit, the Murderson, Chris Benoit, and Eddie Guerrero. It's WrestleMania 20, when they both stood in the ring with championships, confetti falling, holding the belts up. Kevin's going to win the US title. Sami's going to win the Intercontinental title, and they're going to celebrate together in the ring. Yeah.
So I'll tell you where I personally think the Sami Zayn Chad Gable thing is going. Chad Gable's going to be in his corner. Sami Zayn's going to do what Sami Zayn does best. He's going to babyface the hell out of this match. He's going to get the people believing. He's going to get there. He's going to fight. He's going to claw. He's going to make us believe more than anyone ever has before that he's going to beat Gunther. And then Chad Gable is going to throw in the towel to cost him that title. And that's how Chad Gable.
Owen Brett, Alec.
Because I don't think you can do two Rocky storylines on the same show. I just don't think you can do
that. Owen Brett and Bob Backlund, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Triple H loves pulling stuff like that. He loves it. So, and then you have a Chad Gable, Sami Zayn feud coming out of WrestleMania, which is fine with me. I think that's fantastic. Gunther doesn't lose the title, which is fine with me. That's fantastic. it just gives everybody something to continue to latch onto, so that we are invested.
I feel like Gunther's going to lose that belt to Bastion Berlin. Who was it who said it? Was you, Nick, who said he'll lose to Ludwig? Or was it Si?
Yeah.
Okay, we were both on that one because they have to start dealing with something with Ludwig sooner rather than later, though. They can't just
they do
thrust him in at the last second. That would be silly.
Yeah, but don't forget, Bastion Berlin's not till the end of August.
Okay, so he has all summer to. He has to start winning. Like, he can't be losing at all.
No, he needs to be. They need to start if they're going to move to Ludwig Kaiser winning the Intercontinental title in Berlin. They need to heat him up, and they need to start heating him up fast.
I thought Sami Zayn was going to win it because of the fact that he lost on Raw this week.
That was a brilliant move. That was a brilliant move. I didn't even see it coming. I was like, wow, that was great.
Yeah. But that straight away, I thought to myself, oh no, we're going down the old way. Well, it doesn't matter because he's going to win at Mania.
I still think he is going to win at Mania. I want Ludwig Kaiser to win the Intercontinental Championship in Berlin. But I also want Walter to win the World Heavyweight Championship in Berlin. You can do both of those things if you take the Intercontinental title off Walter now and put it on Sami Zayn. You can have Ludwig beat Sami Zayn in Germany, right, which will be massively over, and it will be a phenomenal match. Then Gunther can beat Drew, probably, in Berlin for the World Heavyweight Championship, which will elevate him up the card. And I like my story from WrestleMania better, Jimmy. So that's what I'm going with it.
The only reason I don't go with it, the full Rocky thing, is because we're doing Rocky with Cody, which is what I was saying last year before the Rumble. Like, they're going to do Rocky at next year's WrestleMania. That's why it's in Philadelphia, and this is the perfect way to set it up. And they've gone their route. They've fancied it up a little bit with The Rock and all that, but they're still on course to do that. And Rocky 2, Rocky wins. It's Cody's second chance.
And Sly Stallone's going to be Kevin Hart this year, isn't he?
What's that?
Yeah.
Sly Stallone will be the Kevin Hart of this year.
Do the intro for Mania.
They reached out to Sly. He might.
It'd be really cool.
That would.
But speaking of just general wrestling on Monday Night Raw, I've got the match card up. And there was 5 matches for everyone who says there's not enough wrestling on Monday Night Raw.
Let's be real. There was 4 matches.
Okay, there was 4. But in technicality, there was 5.
Yes.
They announced, you got 5 matches. You got Jey Uso versus Nakamura for the main event, and you got Sami Zayn versus Bronson Reed, who is now officially billed as Big Bronson Reed on everything that you read or look at. It's always Big Bronson Reed now.
Make them marketable. That's fun.
Yeah. Then you have Ricochet versus JD Madonna. Now, that match was something else. It is so nice that Triple H is in charge now, and he went, "Yo, Trevor, you're really good. Go be really good again." And Ricochet, all of a sudden, it felt like he, for all of those nerds that watch Naruto over the years, it feels like Rock Lee taking the weights off. Finally on Ricochet. Yeah. It's like he's taking the weights off his legs and he's going again. His speed's picked up. He's flowing through matches again. And JD Madonna is a perfect dance partner for Ricochet.
Oh, yeah.
Because his head's too damn big for his body, but Dan can get a kid wrestle.
So JD, what I think JD is going to suffer from, it's kind of like a bittersweet type thing, because it's awesome because it's going to get him on the show a lot. But at the same time, because he's so good at what he's good at, it's going to make him be a Dolph Ziggler. I don't think there's anybody in wrestling that sells better than JD McDonough. That man is amazing. The way he just dead weights himself, flattens himself out just during any spot, no matter how his body contorts during the spot, he'll literally just drop in that position and he sells it. His bumps are beautiful. Like, he is so good at it. And I feel like that's going to be his downfall, though, because they're going to be like, hey, go make him look good. And that's what his shtick's going to be. He's going to have a job for a long time, but I don't think he's ever going to get to that spot where a few people think he could get. And I think that's going to be what holds him back. But with Ricochet, I think it's absolutely hilarious, the timing of them allowing him to showcase what he can do. Because everyone's like, WWE messed up by not signing Will Ospreay. And the Triple H says, we don't need Will Ospreay. We have one.
Yeah.
And then Ricochet. And yes, I think Will Ospreay is slightly above Ricochet as far as that stuff goes. I 1000% believe that. But you don't need to pay Will Ospreay that crazy amount of money when you have someone there, especially when you only have one of those and it allows Ricochet to stand out more. Because if Will Ospreay was there, then what's the point of even having Ricochet? He's got to go, and then you don't. That's not just how WWE does things. Ricochet.
Everybody always forgets with the Will Ospreay Ricochet debate that the match that got Will over was the match that broke the internet, which was with Ricochet. And the fact is, Ricochet is not only a wonderful bloke. He's really nice if you ever met him. He's really, really nice bloke. But he's very understated. His character is very understated. But what he does in the ring is completely overstated. He is physically capable of doing things that other people just aren't physically capable of doing for some strange reason. He's that athletically gifted. And just seeing him, as I say, finally take the weights off, being booked strong. He's had 3 weeks now, so it could all go downhill.
No.
But we're going to move on from wrestling to what I thought was the best, what we mentioned, the best segment of the show, which was CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Drew McIntyre.
Can I just say as well, I don't know whether you see, did any of you see Sean Ross Sapp's report before on it?
No.
I don't.
Okay, so apparently he got confirmed by people that this segment was not scripted.
Yes, I was going to get to that.
I could be really could see that.
Yeah.
Yes, it was very evident that they were effectively given bullet points and told, go. You three men do not like each other in real life. We can produce this heat without effort. Go and talk. It was brilliantly done. And I want to give CM Punk, not that I don't already, a lot of credit because he let Drew talk. Didn't have to. Could have cut him off whenever he wanted. And he let Seth talk. He only responded when he needed.
Sorry, can I ask why he could have cut them off?
Well,
Why
it was
Why
unscripted.
you let them?
No, it was unscripted. So you can theoretically just cut somebody off anytime you want.
But
so he did let them talk.
But they could have cut him off though as well.
But
no, of course they could.
See how CM Punk is this crazy egomaniac asshole that everyone thinks he is, and he's in his hometown. He could have easily just at any point just been like, no, this is my show, this is my time, and I'm going to take everything I can because he could have done that based on the character that people perceive him to be. I think what we saw was he's not that person at all. He's there to help.
It just didn't make sense to me, that, mate.
Yeah.
I wasn't having a pop there. It just couldn't make sense.
No, dude. So, I literally like doing this with you because you always give a difference of opinion.
No, to be honest, it just scrambled my brain a little bit. I was thinking, why would he be allowed to, but the others wouldn't? So I just couldn't get the head around it.
No, of course you got. But like I say, that's the point I was trying to make was I think people need to give Punk more credit than they do. Because he's clearly not this massive... Go on.
Can we also show respect to Drew while we're doing this segment, please?
We're getting there. Getting there.
No. Sorry. What I mean is, can we show respect to Drew while we're talking this and refer to him as his proper name?
The chosen one, Drew McIntyre.
No, DM Punk. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
I hope there's a DM Punk shirt.
Yeah,
I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I think it's brilliant. I love it.
It's pretty genius. It really is. But speaking of Daddy Drew, well, that promo he cut was absolute fire. Man who doesn't take drugs or drink, but you spend all your time in rehab.
Number one line in the whole thing. I was
what just like, and also, I thought he managed Punk well when Punk turned around and went, "You called the chosen one. Who called you that?"
Yeah.
And Drew seamlessly changed it without saying a word.
I like how he just kind of acknowledged it, like, "Yeah, you got me. You got me." But we're not done. We're not done at all.
And Seth, and I know, Andy, you are not the biggest fan of this character version of Seth Rollins.
I haven't been up. The one thing that I'll say is I wasn't up until the promo when he tried to convince Cody to wrestle him at WrestleMania. I thought from then on, the character has took a new dynamic and he's been really, really good. Before then, I just couldn't stand all the stupid.
He wasn't serious enough.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's relative to what I was going to say, because Seth is now showing that he can switch and be serious, Seth, when he needs to be. He still does all the dancing and lets the crowd do the singing and so on and so forth. But then when he gets in the ring now, it's business.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like that's great, because from when he first won the title, as I say, up until that first Cody promo, he wasn't doing that. He was just dancing and being an idiot with no substance behind it. Where, as you say there, adding that extra layer to his character of switch to serious and do them things, for me, it's making his character enjoyable now.
I think before the Cody thing that you're referring to, he'd only, I guess, snapped out of it like 3 times.
Yeah.
And it wasn't enough for people to latch on to, like, they just think he's just dancing and laughing and singing and all that, because that's predominantly what he was doing. But like in the Nakamura feed, he snapped out of it when he needed to and got serious. And that's what I've always enjoyed about the character. And I think that's what me and you, Andy, were talking about they should have done with Riddle, is they should have had him snapping out of that bro thing every once in a while to kind of convince us, like, he's not just a joke. This dude's a badass. But we didn't get it enough.
Do you know what the sad thing is with Riddle as well, is especially with the TKO merger, you could have, it's sad that, I mean, hopefully one day he'll come back, because it's so easy for them to use the footage of Riddle's fights now to kind of validate him as a, you know, in the promos and stuff, because obviously it's all part of the same umbrella. They wouldn't have to pay no royalties or nothing for using the
that's a very good point.
You'd have to convince Dana to be up for that, because Dana,
Dana does not like him.
Yeah, but don't forget, for 1 minute, it's not up to date. They wouldn't even ask Dana.
That's true. Emmanuel. That's true.
That's a good point. But moving on. So, JD McDonough, Ricochet, phenomenal. Now, I want to ask you both a question about Candice LeRae.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I want to ask about Candice LeRae. Now, I think what they're going for is kind of, and to use the only analogy and reference I can think of, a bully version of Alexa Bliss. Like when Alexa was the bully, they're going down that and that kind of angle with the little pixie that is Candice LeRae. That's how I see it. I see it as her basically now she's got to the point where she's just sick of losing all the time. So she's going to be a complete bitch to everybody to basically get through how she wants to win. But, Jim, because you said you wanted to touch on it, I'm not sure where they're going to go.
So the main reason I want to touch on it is I feel like this match, like during the show, I am just fully invested, fully in love. I'm like, this is amazing. But realistically, looking back at hindsight, this was my only issue with the entire show. Because for weeks, they've kind of been building up Candice LeRae's arc. They've been taking the time to show this is how it's starting, this is how it's continuing, and this was a great opportunity to, one, give Ivy Nile a good spot on Raw during a monumental show where there's eyes on it. Like, there's lots of eyes on this. And you could have given both of these girls kind of that spotlight to really show something. And they gave them less than 2 minutes to tell their little story in the ring. I thought that was kind of nonsense. I might have even scrapped the Andrade match to make sure this happened. Because I feel like Becky Lynch talked about this in an interview yesterday. There's not enough stories being given the time and attention that don't revolve around the title that deserve it. And this is one of those ones that I think could catch fire if they really gave it that attention. Because that first night, when she snapped on Maxine, literally that's all people talk about the next day online.
Like, I mean, do you know what? I totally agree with you, mate. And do you know my thoughts on this was, because she snapped on Maxine and done what she done, you could have smoused this and just had Candice come out and just smash him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Without it actually getting to a match, just smash it up and just do a full-on beatdown to further and then come back to it when you've got the time.
Yeah, I don't even say it had to be like a 10-minute match or anything like that, because I don't believe in time limits on. I think when you try to stick to a formula, then all of a sudden you're boxing yourself in. You're not allowing yourself to be as creative as you need to be. but I just think that they needed more. Like it just seems like it was just kind of like, hey, you guys had this, but now just kind of mesh it all up because we got to get y'all out of there quicker. And again, I just think that's crazy because they have something with this Candace thing, clearly, because it pissed people off and they were talking about it. When you have that kind of lightning, you need to use it as much as you possibly can and let that ball roll. I do think it's going to lead to Candace eventually putting over Indy, which is just fine. They should. Candace is in that moment of her career where that's what she's going to be used for, and she's perfectly okay with it. And if she can do it for anybody, Indy Hartwell is a perfect person to do it. Indy's young. She looks different than all the other girls on the roster. She's got a nice size to her. There's potential there with Indy. They just have to find it. So to use Candace to help get there, I'm all for that. I think it's awesome. I just think they need to give it more time and effort. That's literally all I think they need to be doing with it.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And switching gears, Andy, I'm going to let you preach because now we're going to talk about the closing segment to the show. We're going to talk about one of the most one-sided beatdowns in recent years in WWE. And
this is what happens when you mess with the final boss.
Just before you preach, I would like to congratulate Cody Rhodes for doing a phenomenal sell job. All he did was get whooped. He got his ass whooped so well. Now, preach, brother, preach.
It was just absolute classic 1998 Rock. Everyone keeps going on about Hollywood Rock, and Hollywood Rock is awesome and all the rest of it, but this was corporate Rock at his best. This was Nation Rock. This was just absolutely fantastic.
I am, like yourself and like Jimmy, a huge fan of this man and have been for years. I don't think a lot of people realize how much of an impact he made because they don't realize how short his career was. The Rock was a main eventer in WWE from start to finish for 6 years. That was it.
Almost
6 years. Almost start to finish 6 years. One of the shortest runs of a top name, but one of the most money-making runs of any men in business history. All of those people that said bringing The Rock into the Cody angle was a mistake are really looking dumb now.
They are, but what can I just say something, right, is obviously Cody ruins the story for The Rock. And I feel like the one thing is that this was never the plan to what we were meant to be doing. Obviously, it was meant to be Rock Roman, but Crybaby's got the way.
Oh, YouTube said, no, he's wrong. Cut him off.
No, that's it. Sorry, we got you.
All right. Take me out and put me back in.
Okay.
So there we go. He's back. Okay. I was going to give you dead silence. There you go.
There you go. Yeah. So I want to bring up one thing to reference another thing.
Yeah, sorry. Can I just carry on where I was up to there?
I suppose.
So I think the one thing that makes The Rock so talented and more importantly, Brian Gewirtz, because I think like people don't give him, he is the unsung hero here. And he always has been for The Rock, is it weren't working. And everyone goes on about The Rock being kind of, he doesn't want to put people over or he wants to be this, that, and the other. But he had the humility to turn around and say, okay, this isn't working. And they changed it. And what we've got now, to me, is better than what we were going to get. Because, one, it's give Cody, because as I said to you from the start, even when he won the Royal Rumble, I was like, ugh. Because it's like, again, there's not really any reason for them to, there was not. The last year, I believe WWE misused them. I really do. Because
I can see where you're coming from.
I think they lost out on an opportunity to tell a certain story for Cody because he passed away. I think that's what happened, and that's why Cody kind of was going nowhere there for a while. And then he was stuck with the Brock Lesnar thing, which was, in my opinion, was horrible. It was like the worst thing WWE did last year.
100%.
But I think coming out of that, it was supposed to be Bray Wyatt. That's what the buzz was, and it made sense. They have connections to each other, and that would have been a great story that led all the way up to the Rumble, I think. But I think that's where Cody was last year.
Yeah, and I think that's where I was frustrated when he won the Rumble as well, because I felt like it was just let's get him to win the Rumble again to force him to put him into WrestleMania, the same as they did the year before. And I think that's where they messed up by doing that. They shouldn't have had him win it back to back just for the sake of throwing him in there. I even think in the lead up to the Rumble, the story wasn't great for Cody. What was on the line, what was going to happen, do you know what I mean? And with The Rock coming in, I really
to be fair, this year's Rumble was kind of built on intrigue. The idea of this year's Rumble was you had Cody, you had Punk, you had Drew.
Yeah, I know, but I even thought Punk had a bit more of an intriguing story of why he could win it. I just didn't think Cody there wasn't really a story, and it wasn't, he wasn't banging on about the fact of I'll go back after Roman again. I was so close, it wasn't none of that. We got all that after the Rumble when the Rock bit come in, and it was kind of like, okay. And basically what I'm trying to say is, I feel like the Rock coming in as one is give us the final boss character, which is awesome. I think two, it's made me really want to see Cody beat Roman on night 2. Really want to see Cody beat Roman on night 2. And so all in all, and all this has come through something that wasn't the original plan. So between The Rock and Brian Gewirtz, it's like, fantastic work that you were able to switch on a dime and give us this product, because this is probably better than what we would have got originally.
Yeah. And speaking of better than what we would have got originally, I am a believer that in the right situation in professional wrestling, blood is necessary. And I honest to God believe that Cody bleeding in that segment on Monday night made it more poignant, made it more impactful, and made it better. This was the first time we'd seen someone bleeding on WWE TV in, a good few years. By deliberate,
by design.
Intentional blood.
Yeah.
Intentional.
Did he bleed, or was it just a pack or something? Do we know?
No, like he was cut across his forehead, and it was coming down the side.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so seemingly bladed. But sorry, Andy, got to bring him up. The exact reverse of this is Jon Moxley. John uses blood too damn much. Now, admittedly, a strong breeze will probably make John bleed.
Jon Moxley, aka the human tampon.
I'm gonna shut this one down when you're done.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
okay, that's fine. All right. Now, but John uses a hell of a lot of blood in his matches. And he's been accused over the years of using too much and saying it's not necessary. I say it's because he's Terry Funk. He's the Terry Funk of modern professional wrestling. Okay, you can disagree with me all you like. People just don't get where I'm coming from. I don't mean he acts like Terry. I don't mean that he's the person that Terry was. I mean he's the same wrestling. He's the same wrestler that Terry was.
The way he carries,
he's the guy that the way he carries about his business. He goes everywhere, wrestles anyone, and he's got a smash mouth hardcore style where he bleeds in every single match, just like Terry Funk. Terry Funk did this and raised 3 companies doing the same thing on his back. Jon Moxley, when he was world champion, was doing for AEW the same thing Terry Funk did for ECW in 1999.
And then
1997.
He's also doing work for GCW at the time too.
Yep.
And New Japan. He was everywhere. Yeah.
He's everywhere. Now,
like Bad Rush.
Bad Rush. Right, Jimmy, go for it.
Okay, so the thing with Moxley bleeding, you guys both watch UFC, correct? Okay, so an AEW is supposed to be the realistic wrestling product, right? It's sports-based, correct? So in UFC, after they have like a brutal fight, those guys aren't even allowed to train for months because they have to heal themselves, correct? Because like their face gets mangled and all other sorts of things. But they got to let their face heal, because if not, the scar tissue doesn't heal, and then it's much easier.
Yeah, you can burst open again. Yeah, I just let you know they also get suspended by the Athletic Commission.
That's fair. That's a whole other story. I'm not going to get to that part. But the idea here is that Moxley was literally a workhorse. He was wrestling 3-4 times a week on multiple promotions, and he wasn't allowing himself time to heal. So the blood, to me, added that sense of realism that they want to add to their product. Now, if you pay attention to what Moxley's been doing the past 2-3 months, how often has he bled? Not so
Because he
much.
hasn't been on telly much.
but when he is, he's not bleeding. And that reason for that is because his body is essentially getting time to heal, and the scar tissue isn't weakened to where he can bleed more often.
Can we just say as well, John Moxley participated in a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament on the weekends and got absolutely whooped.
Oh, yeah, of course he did.
I have no, I can't say anything. I can't.
No, don't wear that hoodie again. All right, but we've reached that part of the show where I love so much, where I get to ask this week our guest, Jimmy, what do you want to talk about?
I want to know, I guess, bullet point, because we don't have much time left, how you think WrestleMania Night 2 is going to end.
As in the finish to the match? Or
The finish to the match, like the closing moments of the show. How are we ending WrestleMania 40 Night 2?
Okay. Right. I'll go as quick as I can. They lose the tag match. The Rock pins Cody because it's more adversity for Cody to overcome. Can he win the title tomorrow after he's just lost this big tag match? Which gives us bloodline rules. The Rock inserts himself as special guest referee. That's important. All right. As the match goes on, at first it's just Cody and Roman with The Rock refusing to count any pinfalls, so on and so forth. It carries on. Cody starts to beat down Roman, has enough of The Rock, puts The Rock through a table. Something along those lines. It doesn't have to be a table. It can be anything. Solo comes out. The bloodline assemble, basically. Start beating down Cody. At this point, the Avengers will assemble that Cody has been building for the past year. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, and Seth Rollins will all appear.
Been part of it, though.
Oh, it doesn't matter. He's against the bloodline, my friend.
Okay.
He was originally.
I'll back out.
Right. Sami Zayn is there because he was the main player in the chapter with Cody last year.
I agree.
Still against the bloodline, and he is part of the Avengers that they have been assembling via Cody Rhodes for the past year. It will then come down where The Rock is taken out. As I said, it's a table. There's no referee. Out comes Charles Robinson, the man who counted the fall against Dusty in his championship match to count the winning fall for Cody in his championship match.
Charles Robinson was that old?
Yes. He was very young back then.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, yeah.
That's crazy.
Same referee,
Okay.
count the same pinfall in the same match where Rhodes will finally hold up a world title and it'll be at WrestleMania.
I'm not against
that is
Little
me.
Legs getting some spotlight. That's awesome.
That is my fantasy book for how we end WrestleMania. Andy?
Yeah, I think similar. I like that Charles Robinson thing. I didn't know that. I really like that. But also I don't know why, but I've got a feeling maybe we see Sheriff Austin come rolling into town.
A Rock and Austin stare down at WrestleMania. Yeah, if you can give it to me, you better give it to me.
Oh yeah,
So when I think the Avengers, I don't think Sami Zayn's involved, which to me is criminal. I think he should be in Seth Rollins' spot during this whole thing. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when you talk about the Avengers, you're getting John Cena and Stone Cold as part of that Avengers. This is going to be the most overbooked nonsense we've ever seen, and I'm all for it.
It's going to be the dustiest finish of dusty finishes.
Because it should be. It's essentially the end of the bloodline before they go on to their next chapter in the book, and it should just be a cluster of nonsense. I'm all for it. But yeah. Awesome.
And I can even picture in my head the Michael Cole line that finishes the night. And now the WWE title goes down a new road.
Yeah, you're completely right. Completely and utterly right. Without a shadow of a doubt. Oh,
Yeah.
right. But, gents, that's the show. So, Jimmy, as our guest, would you like to plug anything, sir? Feel free.
Oh, so this Sunday, WrestleMania extravaganza show. I'm gonna have our good buddy Andy on the show. I'm very excited for that.
Finally.
Hey, you be sleeping, man. He's not sleeping this time. He's gonna be there. We're gonna have ourselves a good time. Ty's excited.
Finally.
You finally get to meet Albert. Albert's excited to meet you. He's met the other two. Finally, time to finish the trifecta there. And then tonight, you can catch me over at Raw Ball for their suicide prevention stream they're running to raise money for suicide prevention. So you can go and check over that. I think that's going to be in like 2 hours, maybe, with our old buddy Maddie and Cap and all that other stuff. They're going to have a bunch of other people on there, and you check me out over there for that.
And I would like to plug this Sunday, because this Sunday, starting a new show on Wrestling Legion. It's kind of an old show, but it's also a new show called Take Over the Table, where we will be going back. Now, as a standard affair, we'll be watching NXT takeovers, certain matches that I think are the best matches and the worst matches, different takeovers on the same weight, and just seeing what everybody says. It's like a watch along, but it's not a watch along. Andy will be joining me this Sunday for this, I believe. Yes. And this Sunday is a bit different because, of course, it is WrestleMania week. So this Sunday, we will be watching, on Andy's suggestion, WrestleMania 10 matches. Specifically, 2 matches in WrestleMania 10, the ones that I think are the best and worst matches from that card. The worst match from that card, in my opinion, is Macho Man Randy Savage versus Crush, proving that not even Randy could get blood from the stone that was Bryan Adams. And, of course, the best match from that card, Brett versus Owen, which is circular because this year we have Jimmy versus Jay.
Yeah, because and that's the thing I said to you, didn't I? I wanted to do this match because people keep on referencing the fact that it's the first brother v brother match at WrestleMania, which I was very annoyed with and took offence to. So
yeah, it wasn't. They've done it thrice now. So you have Matt versus Jeff, Owen versus Brett, and now Jimmy versus Jay. Well, that will be on Sunday.
Whoa. Kane versus Undertaker?
They're not actually brothers. It doesn't count.
Wait a
It does
second.
not count.
Wait a second. They're not brothers?
Yeah, sorry, dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
You brought me on the show to break my heart like that? What the?
I'm
It's
sorry, dude.
still real to me, damn it.
Right, but you can catch that show, Take Over the Table, 6 p.m. UK time on the Wrestling Legion YouTube channel on Sunday. What else have I got booked this week?
If you ever do a takeover with New Orleans, I want to be a part of that one because we're definitely talking about the ladder match.
That is going to be week 1 after we've done this week's. This week it's WrestleMania special.
Yeah.
So next week I will get you in for Takeover New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm definitely coming on that one as well. I love that match.
Absolutely fine. More than merrier.
Do you remember
This show will also have our good friends Matty Laws and the captain. Because, well, I'm kind of stealing Cap's old show to do this. And he didn't seem to mind. So I thought I'd have him as part of the show because it's only fair. And Matty Laws, because we all just love Matty, he's great. That will be at 6 p.m. as I say on Sunday. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, remember, we are just 3 geeks obsessed with a good show. And our opinion means nothing without yours in the comments below. So, I've been Nick the Geek. That's been Jimmy Bebe. That's been Andy.
Was it
See you next week.